I'm Callum Gibson. I'm a boilermaker, trade, whatever. Been trying to get out of it, kind of over it. I want to get into something else, but trying to figure out that path yet. But other than that, I am more competitive powerlifter than bodybuilder. I've done 4 shows bodybuilding, 6 shows powerlifting. My dream goal is to be the ultimate competitor. I want to say I've won a powerlifting show, bodybuilding show, powerlifting show. I've won both. I've won both powerlifting and bodybuilding before. I just want to win a strongman, and I feel like I'll be quite content with that.
Okay. Yeah, some big goals.
Yeah, I don't have a grand. I'm not got a lot of things.
What's the ultimate of the 3? Bodybuilding?
To be honest, bodybuilding, that's tricky, because I more realistically know what I kind of want to get with powerlifting, because I know my limit. I know that with my self-belief, I really feel like I can be up there with some of the best in Australia, and that sounds like a lot to sort of say right now, because
dude, you got some good lifts. I wouldn't say
man, I so think self-belief is so important, man, and sometimes it comes off cocky or arrogant, but
I think it only does if someone's insecure, they take it as an offense and then they judge it. You know, if it's about being the best version of you, then it's not. You know,
yeah,
it's
exactly.
About being better than everyone else, and you look down on them. Then that's arrogant. Some people see it that way.
The great thing about powerlifting, and I don't know, I can only talk about GPC and Capo, but the greatest thing that I found when I first competed in those federations was the community. It's so encouraging. So you can be that arrogant sort of, you're not trying to be arrogant, but you can be real confident in yourself. But then you're also encouraging other people to do the same. You're also encouraging, because it's also, you're not just lifting, doing a squat, deadlift, whatever. You're achieving your own goals. Whereas bodybuilding, I found, can be so toxic. Especially for me, my last comp, I dieted for 6 months, and that was a hectic diet. I worked shift work at the airport, and and
how much did you have to lose?
I lost just over 20 kilos, but I kind of felt like I could have lost a few more, but that prep kind of went to kind of shit at the end. But it was good enough. But if you go on my social media, I don't really have many photos of it, because that was one of my insecurities. I think we all have insecurities. It's kind of rare that we don't. It's just some people are very good at hiding them. My insecurities was that was one of the greatest accomplishments, but I was ashamed of how I looked. So there's one photo of me on Instagram of my competing history. Well, I had more, but I deleted them.
That's the complete opposite to most people who compete. You'll see 1,000 photos.
Yeah, I know. It's just I was so critical of how I looked.
Yeah. That
I still am the same. That's when I struggled finding a coach for powerlifting. My goals isn't just. My goals is a bunch of things in one, which might confuse the hell out of a coach. But when I try to explain it, and it's self-belief. I don't limit myself to just one thing.
Yeah.
I don't limit myself to, all right, we're going to learn how to get to be as strong as possible. But I want to do that, but also kind of look a certain way. And I call it staying ready, because I have a passion for all types of fitness. Last week, bro, I competed in a CrossFit Games sort of thing.
Yeah, what are you saying? Yeah.
Unfit as hell, but I did it because it's fun. I love just fitness, and I love just hearing about it. Man, I love hearing stories of people running, any type of fitness. I just love it, because it's just a mental game. It's always a challenge against yourself. It's so crazy.
Yeah.
Sometimes bodybuilding talk bores the hell out of me. Jesus, find something else to talk about.
People can get super obsessive about it. Where you could be super
well, that's the thing, man.
You had that sort of it became pretty toxic for you, but you loved it. But it just can become super obsessive.
And I find so I never had any intentions of ever powerlifting. I got into powerlifting purely as a motivation to keep striving towards my goals to bodybuilding, because my last comp, they said, look, with my height, a lot of my judging is I'm 6'3", so it's I could put the same amount of muscle on as someone who's say 5'6" or 5'8", someone a little bit shorter, but they'll look like they've put on twice as much size.
Yeah.
So I've kind of have to work maybe a little bit harder.
Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't say I work a little bit harder, but like the time frame, the time length of looking a certain way to really look proportion on a comp takes a lot longer. Yeah. And one of the ones was like density and a bit of thickness and stuff throughout my entire physique. So I thought, I suffered bad post-comp blues the show prior to that. So I was kind of like, I need myself a goal. And I've always been naturally strong. As in, I grew up on a cane farm for 20 years. And like, I was,
Where are you from?
Mackay.
Oh, right.
Yeah, Walkerson, little town. And, that's one of my gripes is like, when people say they're from country towns, it's like, you're probably from the country town, but did you live like a country dude?
Yeah.
I did. And, every day before school, I'd be, Dad, we weren't from really a wealthy family, I guess.
Yeah.
So Dad would always have, the old school irrigating systems where it's the pipes and stuff. I'd be out with the old man in the morning before school, like moving them, shifting them around. But I've always been strong just doing that when I was younger. Yeah. And that was like, as long as I did that, he allowed me to do, my things like sports. I've always had a passion for sport. So I got into that. I've always been naturally strong. So I was like, once I finished, I met a friend from the gym that was into powerlifting. And I was like, I asked him about it, and there was a novice comp at below parallel, and that's how I got into it. And
so were you already living in Brisbane?
Yes, I moved in end of 2016. Yeah, I moved here because purely for bodybuilding, man.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, like I was obsessed, bro. Like that's what I mean is like, people need to understand that I kind of feel like social media has made it a little bit like, I don't know the word, but like it's a mental challenge to get to a certain base level of your frame. So what I mean by that is like, I was an ectomorph. I was 63 kilos, man, when I first started. I'm about 138 now.
Yeah.
So I've consistently over my training years, I've consistently put 10 kilos on every year, and that's not like I mean, a lot of it I think I don't know. I'd say I was always my height, so it wasn't as if I grew from height, but
so you've gained over 70 kilos.
Yeah, I've gained over 70 kilos, and
that's nuts. Yeah.
I have been fortunate. I have been very fortunate enough to have some great mentors along the way. Like my first ever gym was this little gym in Mackay called Evoke Fitness. They actually opened up one over at Oxley here, but I don't think it kind of kicked off as well as I hoped.
Yeah. And
they shut down whenever, but that was my first gym. But then I got an apprenticeship when I was, I don't know if you guys do it, like when you got like work experience when you're grade 10.
Yeah.
I got it that week. I got an apprenticeship offered to me when I was during that week of work experience. So I took it, but I wanted to stay in school, so I got a school-based.
Okay.
And I signed up to a gym because my goal was to get strong and to get age champion for Sports Day next year.
Nice.
I was kind of like, after an 8-hour work day as an apprentice boilermaker, I was kind of buggered by the end of it, and I didn't want to go and train, and Mum's like spewing because she got me the membership, and she's like, I've wasted all this money because it's a contract sort of thing. And so then I don't know, during that time where I completely stopped and all I worried about was work and school and buckle. And I did all that, and then I don't know, I got the phase. It's always been around me because you know what? The driving force was. I think a lot of people will admit this, but it's. I always loved the physiques that I saw in wrestling, man.
Yeah.
WWE, man.
Yeah.
I always looked at them. I'm like, holy crap! I want to look like that.
Who's your?
Bro, Kane, but when he used to wear a mask. That's when he looked as that, like the WWF with Stone Cold and Rock and all those years. That's who I like, but it was Kane who I sort of idolized for a long, long time. And I don't know, I guess like I would have phases where I would like watch a bunch of old school wrestling matches on YouTube, and then I finally got the drive to go back, and Mum's like, I'm not getting you a membership till like you prove to me. So I managed to we had a bunch of scrap metal, and you know I'm pretty handy, so I was like, I built barbells and weight stacks and everything, and just showed Mum I trained for like 5 months at home and got a membership again for Christmas.
Yeah, nice.
And then that was it, man. And then I think I think a lot of it was I've had right mentors. So I finally signed up to a gym. There was a Pommy dude. And hopefully one day he listens to this because I thank him a lot. His name is Carl Marshall. He was he was the most impressive physique I've seen in person.
Yeah.
And he was at my gym. He was
what gym was that?
Evoke Fitness again.
Okay,
I signed back up to that gym. I was comfortable with it, and I sort of that's just went there. It was closer to my home too.
Yeah.
So because I didn't have a license, I had to be somewhere that Mum could pick me up all the time.
Where was that?
In Mackay.
Okay.
Have you been to Mackay? No, it's like off Bruce Highway, like the main road. And he trained hard as hell, and like still to this day, like he's still probably in the top 10 of dudes I've seen in person that actually back up when they say they train hard. They do, because like there'll be days where I don't know, this is just him talking, but he would say he'd only had like a bit of fish and oats the whole day, like less than probably 1,000 calories. But he'd come in that gym and train hard as hell. And nowadays we've got so much more information around us that ideally that's not optimal.
Yeah.
But back then, 15, 16-year-old kid, I didn't really know much about nutrition. So I thought like, damn, like I'm not going to whinge about if I'm feeling hungry, I still got to go after it. So that mentality, like, and he was intimidating. He'd wear a cap, come over his eyes. And
over his eyes?
Yeah, like he was so focused, bro. And
I remember being a kid at the gym, and it's always the dudes with the cap pulled down real low.
Well,
like
because of him, I wore a cap for like 4 years, man. Yeah. Just because I idolized him so much. And then I just was so nervous about wanting to approach him because, like, I don't know, he was a nice dude, but I just was like some skinny dude, and I didn't have the cause. Like, I was wearing one of those stringers, the real skinny ones with the nipples out, stuff like that. So I probably looked like an idiot. But anyway, I was filling my drink up at the drink stand, and he comes up to me, he's like, "Oh, your form is fucking shit," like in his Pommy voice. And I'm just like, "Oh crap." He's like, "Well, if you want to train with," he's like, I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm still learning, but like, man, you train really hard, like, god damn." Like, I just remember he had massive shoulders and like actual big traps, like, the ones that flick up the top, and big car, like everything about him. And like, I think he's like, "I'm going to take you under my wing because I think you got some talent." And nice. So I was like, he was my first dude, and he would belt the hell out of me for like 6 months, and then fortunately he had to move back to England, and but he showed me the ways. And then I was just fortunately after that, another dude finally came to me, and he told me, dude, like, he was great. His name was Adam Charles, or Adam Roberts, call him Adam Charles, but he was great. And he first approached me. Everyone's approached me. All the great mentors I've had in my life has come at a weird way. Like, they've all come at some sort of insult. Like Carl was like, "Bro, your form's fucking shit." And then Adam.
They can see that you're hot though.
Yeah,
that you want it.
Yeah, and Adam came up to me. He's like, "You need to leave this fucking gym now." That's how I remember those words. I'm like, "What?" And then he's like, "Man, like, I see you train hard. I see you get mad when, like," because my gym was upstairs to a mechanic's shop. Yeah. And then I came one day, and I've always been a deadlifter, dude. Like, deadlifts, like, if we could only limit ourselves to one exercise forever, deadlifts is the exercise I choose. And so I've always been around deadlifting. I just love it. And then I came into the gym one day, and they were like, "Oh, mechanics got whingy because it gets banged, like, makes a loud noise when you like sort of deadlift, so we're not going to deadlift today." I'm like, "What?" And he's like, "Yeah, I saw you get mad about that." So he's like, "I knew you got heart, kid." So, back then, one of the meccas of Mackay gyms was Anytime Fitness.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so I moved there.
Was it big Anytime, or?
Wasn't big, but he was run by my coach, who was my who prepped me for my bodybuilding shows, Michael Galley. And there was like 4 bodybuilders who were PTs there. So with that influence, sort of helped sort of push that Anytime Fitness to sort of like, I don't know, it just had that culture of bodybuilding that it was accepted. Whereas I was at like Evoke, where it was more like a health and fitness place where you sort of just go on the cross trainer, do a bit of abs and go home sort of thing. And you know, he was great for that. And then my next step above that was I don't know, it was a bit of self-growth, because then I was a bit lost in terms of like, I wanted to compete, no real good federations in Mackay, and at the time I wanted to be a PT, so I was like, you know what, and then I was like, my crew at the mine, I worked at the mines, and then they were like, you know, we're gonna offer voluntary redundancies, and I was like, shh, and I looked at what I was gonna get, and I was like, all right, I'm out, and I moved here, and that's
How long have you been in Brisbane? 2016, you said?
Yeah, probably 5 years.
Yep.
Yeah.
Nice.
I love it. It's great. It pisses me off sometimes, because I'm sometimes used to when I go home maybe once or twice a year in Mackay, I don't know, I like the slow life sometimes.
Yeah.
I like the fact that like people aren't in a rush, and like there's just things, it's just like your home, man. Like that's where I grew up, had a ton of memories. So yeah, I miss it. But after a week, like I sort of crave the Brisbane feel. It's like the energy. Energy's real. Yeah, that's why this place is great too. So it's like, yeah, I could talk all day about the night and day differences between the other gyms I've gone to, but I love it.
It's funny you say it's like slows down, because my parents have a place out just past Toowoomba. It's about like 30 minutes past Toowoomba, and it's like a day out there just feels like 10 times longer.
Oh man, that's like, I don't know. It's hard to sort of exactly, you know, everyone's got their little characteristics that they do, but you know, over this weekend, like, I don't see my parents. I see my parents like once or twice a year, like if, and I guess like over this weekend, I was just seeing my parents, and I was just like, hurry it up a bit. It just, I don't know. It's just funny seeing people who are from Mackay, from, you know, where I'm from, and they're trying to like adjust to like the flow, and yeah, but that's great. I mean, anytime I get to see my parents, it's awesome. Although they haven't been, my mum's been supportive, not my dad, only because he's not a fan of men's and drugs. But he doesn't understand bodybuilding.
My parents didn't like it either.
Yeah, it's...
My mum would always say, you've got man boobs.
My dad...
I had to sneak to the gym in high school.
Yeah,
she was like, you can't go to the gym, like, you can go home and study. I was like, alright, well, I'm going to the library every day after school now.
Yeah, my dad... I'll be honest, man. If we could compete in a bodybuilding comp where you could like compete hairy as hell, long leg hair and hairy back, he probably wouldn't see an issue with it. But he has an issue with like shaved men. Men who shave their legs. He's like I clip mine, but I don't shave them. But he's just got a funny thing with that.
Yeah.
He's so old school. I mean, he's funny. Like he's been great. Like he's been tough on me. We sort of clash heads all the time, and I'll go home, and sometimes it's like he doesn't realise that I've sort of grown up. I sort of know a thing or two now, so he sort of like wants to do it this way, but then it's funny. But
I think every parent's like that. Like they don't like being told they're wrong. Or
exactly.
Kids know shit that they don't know.
Yeah.
My parents would be like, you know everything with the internet, you kids. You kids know everything, don't you?
Yep.
I'm like, yeah, I do. I can Google it.
Yeah, my dad don't have any social media.
Yeah.
He'll just go on Mum's Facebook once a night to look on Marketplace, look at things like that. He doesn't, and I love that for him. Like, even him texting, like he's had like a brick phone for like.
I saw your story with him.
Yeah, man. I found that so funny, and it's just him and like just little things that. It is different between person to person. It's all these little memories. Like, even my dad talks so loud on the phone. Yesterday during the it was kind of quiet. It wasn't dead quiet. It wasn't like a moment silent. But it's like you know how they have like an Aboriginal guy saying, "Hey, like we're gathered on this land."
The acknowledgement.
The acknowledgement. Yeah. It's kind of quiet. We're all trying to listen, and they had this nice little Aboriginal sort of traditional dance or whatever. That's when one of my dad's mates calls him up, who's from the car. Hey, Gibbo, where are you on the TV? and he's doing, because my dad's like just industrial deaf. He's just driven tractors all his life, no earplugs. He's just yelling into the phone, and like Mackay me would have been like, "You're so rude, man. What the hell?" Because like you know, but I thought it's like those little things I kind of find funny because they're all those little things that remind me of my old man, so I kind of don't really care, even though everyone was around us was like, shut the fuck up, sort of thing.
That's funny.
Yeah.
How'd you get into your parkour?
How did we? There was about 10 of us that was in a we called it Scrubby Flip Crew.
Was this, did you go lifting then parkour then?
No, parkour definitely before lifting.
Because that was your first.
I feel like everyone at some point when they're in like grade 7 like finds like a viral parkour video.
Actually, alright, thank God you said that. That it reminds me how I stumbled across it. So it was grade 7 and we had this dude, rest his soul, he passed away, but Lockie Anderson, his name was. He, you know those at schools that have like the air cons, but they have these vent, like this cage over the top of them to protect them. We were walking to lunch and he just like jumped up on it and just did a backflip off it. And I was just like, it was like but I was like, whoa, I thought it was the craziest thing. And it was the most perfect sort of like, it wasn't like, you know, a tuck and everything in a backflip. Like it was just a perfect, like nice, everything is, like, it just looked perfect and landed it clean. And then I was just like, that's the coolest thing ever. And then I spent the next like 2 months. It took me about 2 months to finally like learn it myself, to like have enough guts to like backflip off. I backflipped off a rubbish bin, like a wheelie bin, into like, my dad would buy these big, I don't know how big they are, but these massive fertilizer bags for the farm. And I didn't have a mattress. I just like packed like 5 or 10 of them in one, and it'd be soft enough for me to land. And it took me like, you know, 2 months to finally have enough balls to like jump and actually go over, because I would do, you know, those ones. Learnt it, and then same thing, I showcased it at school. And then I think it just started growing, because then people started to all around Mackay, man, people were flipping. Yeah, and then there was like one of our mates from high school, he had mates that went to other high schools, and they created a flip crew called Mackay Flip Crew. And
what a name.
Yeah, and because all my mates, we lived in the same little town. It's called Walkerston, but the nickname for Walkerston, I don't know how they got it, but it's called Scrubby. So we called it Scrubby Flip Crew. And man, it was awesome. We would go to like we'd have every weekend, just Jake, his name was, he would go around filming like different sort of stuff. We weren't like gymnasts, so we weren't doing like whatever, but...
Is it on YouTube?
Yes.
What's it called?
It's called, his channel name is 74 Snakey. I don't know that name, but it's called Scrubby Flip Crew. There's the beginning, there's the sequel, there's like, we would do skate park edits, like we would all like, we could flip on our scooters at the skate park and stuff like that, so we'd do skate park edits. But yeah, those, basically all you'd have to type in is Scrubby Flip Crew.
Definitely gonna look that up.
Yeah, man, it was, but yeah, I did that for, I mean, it was more of a fad thing that kept going, kept happening. We just kept progressing. And then it kind of just died by like, see, we're all in school when this was happening. And then Jake was 2 years older than us all. And when he graduated grade 12, I don't know, he had a full-time job. It was just like a progressional sort of thing, like died out. But like for a good 2 years there, man, like, it was every weekend. It was like, where are we going to flip? Like, what sort of content are we sort of looking for? Because, like, you know, some videos... Oh, then we'd do tutorials.
Yeah.
We'd just do the whole lot, man. And it was just... Man, I would have this thing in my head, like, I want to be able to say that I flipped off that. Because I was classed as the high flyer. Like...
what does that mean?
Basically, like, I wasn't scared. I wasn't one of those guys who could, like... I can jump really high, but I couldn't really ever do like your corkscrews and all those sort of like fancy things. I was really good at just like doing like wall flips and flipping off like really high things, man. Like I got a video on one of those, and this is when it really stopped. Like was I think I did take it too far. It's in the Scrubby Flip Crew, the prequel. Yeah, I think, or the sequel, something like that. It was one of those videos. You'll see it in there, and it's there's this massive roof, and it's just over 20 meters. And I flipped off that. Yeah.
Did you land on?
My feet, like
on the ground.
Yeah, on the ground.
20 meters.
On the grass, yeah. I landed on there, and then sort of like at the same time, like I was really good at controlling my body. So as long as I got upside down, I could look down and sort of control how fast my feet swing around. And I landed, and I'd also do like a land and then army roll behind, do like a back roll.
Is this on YouTube?
Yes.
Right. I don't
Yeah, look it up. Play it about there. Yeah. All right. Cool. Get ready. Yeah. Righty. It's the next clip. This is it. It doesn't look as high.
Is that it?
Yeah, that was it.
That was not 20 meters. Bro.
That was 100. Bro, we measured 100%. 20 meters.
Okay.
Go back.
3 meters.
Go back and pause it.
You mean 20 feet?
Go back
You mean
and
20 feet?
20 meters. I swear.
20 meters.
God,
is like
it's
4
definitely
stories,
not 3 meters, man. That's way taller than 3 meters.
This ceiling is like 2.4 meters.
Yeah, it's taller than this. Way taller.
Yeah, but not
Go
10
on.
times that.
Might have been 20. I know it's a lot taller. Maybe 6. I don't know. Maybe. I just remember what happened to this. This clip here is kind of like when it kind of everything fell apart. Because they saw. Yeah, probably not 20 meters. But 20. It was definitely.
It's 20 feet.
It was taller than
high,
this.
It's
Taller than here.
that is impressive, nonetheless.
No, but okay.
20 meters, I'm pretty sure that would kill you, bro.
But anyway, so the point of that is when they saw that, everyone knows that roof. That's at like the Hawkeston skate park. When they saw that happen, they were like, all right, this is getting too far because that is a tall roof. Like maybe not 20 meters.
It's definitely high. Yeah.
It's high as hell, man. Like
That's
it's.
at least, I don't know.
Dude.
20 meters is just fucking, I'm pretty sure you'd die. Definitely.
Yeah, man. It was tall as hell. Like you'd be surprised if you went there and saw it in person. It's way taller than what this roof was. Or not like this mezzanine sort of thing.
Oh yeah, that looks cool. We've been a couple times this.
It's probably like honestly closer to like the last sort of wooden ledge sort of bracing thing on the sides here. It's closer to that.
It's like 5 meters.
Yeah, so it was around that anyway. So whatever that is in feet, maybe it was like.
Maybe
but
20 feet.
the adults,
5
yeah.
meters is about 20
My mum saw that video because she'd always be like, "Oh, what? Tell me when you've uploaded a new one." All right, here we go. And then I'd show it to her, and then she saw that video, and then she rung up Jake's mum and dad, and they went down to the skate park to have a look at and it just, that's when it was like, no, like they wanted us just to do these videos and go to a gymnastics center and just do them all in like under people's guidance because we were at that skill level, man. Like we weren't just doing like
You're
normal.
pushing the boundaries.
Yeah, we weren't just doing normal backflips and stuff. We were at the skill level where we're doing like, I don't know. I don't even know like all the real names and stuff like that now, but like the proper trick names. But we're at that level where we probably needed more than just some normal trampoline and stuff like that. Like it got we went pretty hard. But then a mixture of that really toned it back a bit, and then I got in a lot of trouble for that. And then I think and then I guess.
The gym?
Yeah, once Jake sort of left high school, it was kind of like, no one's really, like, he didn't really have time to sort of edit videos, make videos for us anymore, and he was kind of growing out of, like, even the skate park and everything like that. And then I moved on I got that apprenticeship, and then that's when I really wanted to get into the gym and get huge.
Yeah.
And that's what happened.
You find like a lot of crossover between like powerlifting and bodybuilding?
Yeah, it depends. Yeah.
Treat them like very separately, or is it sort of like the same training most?
I call it powerbuilding.
Yeah.
I think. Well, I've heard it quite a bit now, but that's sort of like the sort of term I like because I love body. That's what I've always thought. Even when I was talking to Tom, like I want to look like a really thick, dense bodybuilder, where like if I was to wanted to do a comp in like 20 weeks time, it's not going to be like, dude, you've got like 20% body fat. Like, I want to be in a range where I'm like, all right, I do have, because powerlifting is, in my opinion, advantage. I think everyone will say to have a bit of body fat, a bit of cushion around the joints and stuff like that. So I will have a bit of, but I want to be at the stage where I'm always about 20, 30 weeks out, something around that. Plus I also like to, even though I rarely like, I'm too white, man, like shit. Like I either go white or red, and then there's no tan on me. So, but I don't go show my physique off. I kind of think, I'm pretty self-conscious of it, to be honest. That is one of the biggest battles I have, is my ultimate goal is to sort of eventually move on to other sort of fitness criteria, and that's sort of why I competed in those functional games 2 weeks ago. Is and it's not because I don't love bodybuilding or powerlifting. I think it's extraordinary because the lessons I've learned outside of gym and the actual competing of it has been life changing, man. Like, particularly in bodybuilding, because man, like I worked at the airport. It was during daylight savings with Melbourne and Canberra. So those flights were always an hour early in the morning. And my coach had me doing an hour's morning cardio before breakfast. So that cardio session was done at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Wow.
Yeah. Just, even though I lived at Hamilton at the time, like, when you work at the airport, you have to like park off site and then catch a staff bus in. So all that takes time, and then because of that bomb scare in Sydney a few years ago, they've tightened up, and we used to be able to go through this really quick gate to get to our office on airside, but then we had to start to go through the same security screening as Jetstar. So that sort of, all that added like 10-15 minutes on time. So even though I live like 10 minutes from the airport, it still took an hour to actually get to the office. So yeah, that's why I had to do cardio at 2 o'clock, and I still got the bloody alarm clocks. I lived off 4 hours sleep for 6 months.
Fucking hell.
Yeah, because I'm one of them dudes that like, if I'm not like, I can't half-ass something. I just feel too guilty about it. Like, imagine like, I would hate to do a comp or anything that you know internally that if you would have done something, if I come second and I know that I pissed around and did something that jeopardized that outcome, I'd feel so guilty. And like, anyone who's done a real bodybuilding comp knows it's not cheap. With coaches, you know, I recommend, if you're a beginner, go get some posing classes done. Get in tune with your body and how it feels. You know, all those little things add up. I mean, I think you can do it cheap, of course, but like,
you can do it properly.
Yeah, I also had a coach that was ATP science biased, so I use a lot of their products, but for not much gain.
Yeah.
But yeah, when I did that, I would go to bed, and that was my constant battle with my coach. And I ain't shit talking him. Great man, he taught me a lot. He's a great dude. Yeah. But you know, one of the things about it is he was. I prefer a coach who's a little bit more open to knowing there's other ways. Like, you implement how you want to coach me, of course. But like, he had clients that only went to bed at 10 and would wake up at 7 every day. He had routine clients that had jobs like that, where mine was shift work, dude. I'd work, you know, a 4:15 a.m. shift till 2 o'clock in the afternoon shift, and then the next day could be a 1 p.m. start till 11 o'clock thing. And I was a leading hand too, so if there was a delayed flight, that finish time now gets extended to like whenever that plane comes in. So it got pretty hectic, but you know, nothing really stopped me. Like, I was so locked in for that 6 months, like that, you know, afterwards I look back and I'm like, there's a ton of things I could have done better.
Yeah, well, surely, like, obviously out of your control, but like the sleep alone, like trying to recover on 4 hours of sleep. Like,
yeah, that was one thing. I never thought about that. That was one thing I never really thought about was, you know, because I would get in the habit of you can watch wrong motivational videos. That's one thing a lot of people...
Dude, it's so easy to get caught up in.
Holy
it's like,
hell.
Fucking grind every day.
I know.
Hustle. It's like...
Yes.
It's counterproductive. If you, I hate those, like, hustle, work harder than everyone else. Like, if you keep trying to work harder than everyone else, you're going to burn out harder than everyone else. Like,
it's
just, humans aren't the fucking designed that way.
It's good to a point. It's good to a point. It's very easy to go past.
It's like that no excuse thing of like finding the time to do things.
Yeah.
But also, are you doing it the most optimally? That should be the conversation.
That's what I'm constantly, when I'm at my work now, like, I'm telling, I got a first year apprentice with me, and I'm always telling him, like, dude, like, you can do it this is how I do it, but when you're doing it, try to think of ways that you might be able to fasten it up, make it quicker, do things like your way, that better ways to do things. There's not always just one way to do things, but like
they go thinking for themselves.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, that came back to like during those 6 months, I would watch, I can't remember what type of videos they were, but basically it was just like fucking you'll sleep when you're dead sort of mentality. And I was just like, at the time I was like, yeah, fuck yeah, like
I think young men really can fall into that trap.
But yeah,
like,
it got
I
real.
See it in here, like people putting like, because one guy puts like a motivational video over the speaker late at night when there's no one else here, and it's great that you have that mentality, but it's like be conscious of that, like not at the detriment of your sleep.
Sleep's
like,
so important, man. Like I used to,
in bed is so toxic.
dude, I used to link sleep any more than 7 hours to laziness. That's how toxic I became with the relationship with sleep. It's like when people talk about food and their relationship with food, it can get pretty toxic. Like especially after a comp, man. Like particularly women, I find that they get down to a really nice body fat level, and then for some reason the brain clicks, and anything like any kilo above where they're at there, they feel like the hell, like they're terrible, and they start to create bad relationships with food, and before you know it, like you'll be out in public with people and they're like, wait guys, got to track everything, and they'll be sitting there like, you know, I feel like there's a balance, and you're not really living a balanced lifestyle when every little bit of food that you have has to be tracked. That's my opinion.
You've got to really love that. Like,
yeah.
It just comes down to the intention behind it. Like,
yeah,
it's like, what's the meaning you created behind it? If it's like because you hate yourself and you need to prove it to everyone else.
Yeah.
Or are you just doing it for you because you love the whole process? Like talking to Ben last week about that, and he's like, I just fucking love it. Like, this is for me, this is my fun. I love going to the gym, I love tracking. He loves the whole, monk-like sort of lifestyle of it.
I think there's a place for it. Like, if you're prepping for comp, like, maybe that's when it's time to track every calorie and like, really dial it in. But then you don't need to be like that all year. Like, you have to back it off at some point.
I agree with that. And, people are going to disagree with what I say. It's like, and to be honest, I encourage that. Because if we're all a sheep, then we're not really opening our brains up to like better ways of doing things. So like, I love hearing other people's methods, and, seeing how people like to do things. And, there's a certain extent where people want to track something, but it's because of their mental health. Like, if they don't eat something, it's a very fine line. Like, I just think it's, like you were just saying, and that's my mentality, was off season, still eat clean as much, but enjoy your food, enjoy this and that, enjoy time away. Don't freak out if you like miss a meal, and like have some fun, and then those are the times you sort of give back to your family and friends, because I know that's something I learned in prep, was like your time management skills, it just gets so, well, for me, they just went through the roof, because I had to learn to fully commit myself to the bodybuilding comp. My coach wanted me to drive down once a week to the Gold Coast. That's where he was. He didn't have a car, so I would go to him to do my check-ins and whatever, and we'd do a session together. And then because at the airport, my two days off was never the same. So having to sort of link up with people throughout the week when my days are off to sort of still keep that social life. And then on top of that, I had enough of those responsibilities that as a leading hand I had to like perform at work, and then do just a whole bunch of things. Like, you learn how to fit everything in, and then in the off season, you just start to like, you just become a better person. And that's what I like about the bodybuilding comp, is like, bodybuilding does help you a lot with like discipline and communication and time and gratitude towards everything. Like, man, I remember like,
what was like the gratitude sort of thing, like
because
you had to,
the people around me were very
things.
The people around me were very like supportive, and they wanted to see me do well. So because of that, they were like, I don't know, I guess they understand, they're very understanding when, you know, I needed to train or I needed like my sister's graduation, we all went out to like Brooklyn Depot, but I pulled out a bloody chicken and broccoli or something like that. And that was with my family, and they all understood. Because they knew, like, anyone, like, that's the thing is, they'll sacrifice their time and those little things, like they want to like also enjoy a nice dirty burger or something with you outside of the gym. But like if you're in prep, their sacrifice is to understand that they'll eat the burger and you'll have this, or if you want to go out and have a nice drink or do something, whatever. But you know, they're the sacrifices they make. So to give back to them, you gotta like, I think the off season, that's where you give back to them and you sort of thank you for like being around, because it is a taxing bloody thing to do. Like, man, I got to the point the last 2 weeks of my comp, I got so like low on body fat, I started having to wear 2 socks because I lost the fat under my sole of my feet. And you know, I'd be driving in the car and I just was like starting to reflect because the finish line was in sight, and like, man, I'll start to tear up, to like songs that I would never listen to ever. They'd come on, I'm like, and it was just like all these emotions coming in. I'm like, man, I'm lucky to like live in this country, like to be able to do this prep, man. Like no one, like there'd be thousands of bloody people that just all they want to do is do a bodybuilding prep because they see all the Olympias and just like social media, all the fitness, but they don't have a setup in their lives. Maybe like they've got everything sort of needs to align to do a bodybuilding prep, and like the being able to do that is like it's huge, and I'm grateful for that, and that's why I kept reminding myself, it's like, dude, like no one's making me do this. I want to do this for myself. And you know, that's how I got through that. But since then, I haven't really done I haven't had any sort of intentions to do a comp again. Maybe one day, but right now I'll be up against big boys like Tim, and he's like, I'm like years off from that, but I don't want to like push my body to, I don't know, my goals are so out there at the moment that I really don't know what I want to do. I know I want to do a powerlifting comp, but I also want to like immerse myself into other sort of fitness areas.
What else excites you?
Some more CrossFit games.
Yeah, man, like that was awesome. Just the atmosphere of it all, like everyone cheering you on, and like, dude, there was this dude, what's his name? His name was Donnie, and he got to the final. There was 3 rounds. He got to the finals on Sunday, and all he had to do was, the course was 15 front squats, but you had to like fully touch the seat to have that rep count, and then you move on to these kettlebell things where you bring it above your head, then move on to these other things called devil push-ups, and then like deadlifts, and then you had to do a 1 kilometer row. The dude really struggled with like the front squats, man, like holy hell, like he struggled. But the mental capacity, the whole crowd just got.
So is everyone lifting the same on the front?
Yes, everyone's all the.
How much was it?
It was only 50 kilos.
Yeah.
But
so regardless of how much you weigh.
It's just 50 kilos, because the weight really doesn't matter, man. Like I stuffed up my round because I'm just like, my round was, the first heat was you do a burpee, then jump over this hurdle, do another burpee 15 times, then it was it was clean and jerk. So you lift it up, do that, down, like that, 15, and then 15 medicine ball, like you pick the medicine ball, throw over your shoulder, then 15 reverse lunges, and then 15 calories on the roller. And then you go back and do everything's 10 reps. And then you do 10 calories, and then you go back and do 5 reps of everything. And after that, you do the 5 calories on the roll, that's it. I was like, you know, I've been around them doing that, and it's like, man, that's easy. Like the weight for like the clean and jerks was like 20 kilos or something, 40, I don't know. It was really light, man, and I was like, man, I'm gonna smoke these people.
So I suppose like you guys can like smash the weightlifting stuff. Yeah. When it comes to like the rowing and the bodyweight stuff.
I was like in my head, I'm gonna smoke these dudes. And first round I kind of did. I was like in front, but then, god damn, it wasn't. The weight really doesn't matter in those events. Well, it's not like professional CrossFit games. Like those, they do lift quite heavy there too. But this one's more like endurance, man. And more mental strength. I love that stuff. Like going through it, like when you feel like you're about to like be done, you just gotta keep pushing. I just love that, man. I just love testing new boundaries. And yeah, it kind of smoked me, eh? I was first time I finished, and first time I've ever done anything where I had to feel like vomiting. I'd sit down and the world was just fading black. But I was like proud of myself, man. But I'd love to get more into that. But like I'm so mixed. COVID really sort of opened myself up to like so many different things. It kind of was a blessing for my training at least, because I was able to like fully recover from a lot of injuries, that like big injuries that were about to happen.
Yeah. Do you feel like you would have injured yourself if you just kept pushing?
Oh, hell yeah, man. Like, bro, like, so it was very stupid. Like, you know, coaches are going to look at this and go, shit, man, what the hell? But like, you know, the momentum, I don't know, the rush you get, the high you get from when you compete, and then everyone's like, man, you did so well. I did about 3 back-to-back powerlifting shows within about 6 to 8 weeks apart.
Yeah.
There was no real time to
She was peaking for 8 weeks.
Shit, yeah, I did that for like 20 plus weeks, man.
Wow, that's fucked.
My last comp.
Were they all 3 lifts?
One of them was a deadlift comp.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that wasn't that bad. That was my redemption comp. That's when I knew I had the mental strength, because my first comp I blitzed it like, yeah, it was only, that was my, I surprised myself. Everything just tuned in that day. The second day, I went 9 for 9 for that first one. The second comp, dude, everything went wrong. I had a friend meant to come that had cooked me food to eat throughout the day. And they bailed like 10 o'clock that night, man.
Before?
The night before.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
what, so you had no food prepared? Had
no food, so, you know, I'm very, very basic. I've learned to live.
How do they bail when you like that?
Man,
when you've got
legitimate reason. Her old man had some medical issue that he was like actually in the hospital. So I was like,
that's fair.
Yeah, I was kind of scared.
Not really bailing. That's sort of just like.
At this time, I thought it was a bail because I was like, what the hell? Like, it was
bad timing.
Yeah, and luckily I lived close to the 24-hour DFO one, but it's still like my sleep was shit then, because then I was kind of like going, what the hell? Like,
yeah.
And then
that's gonna throw you off a bit for sure.
Yeah, and then I was already facing like some hip injury that occurred from when I came out of that last bodybuilding comp. I kind of, in the rebound phase, I squatted 140 for like 60 reps in one set, and
what the fuck? 60.
Yeah, jeez. Something like that.
Did you have that?
No, I would have deleted it. Sorry, man. I got through a phase. I was like, kind of like, I didn't want my Instagram just to look like gym stuff. Yeah. So I tried to like.
I was stalking you last night.
Yeah.
And I saw a video of you doing a backflip at 130.
Oh yeah. Well,
that's still better.
Well, the first video is embarrassing. The second one's better, but yeah, man, there was a stage where I was looking at my Instagram, because it was like, where was it? When did that happen? Like, I've gone, you know, I went through a phase where I was like, if someone looked at me, that all I looked like I do was gym, and I kind of didn't want it to look like that. For some reason, I got caught up on how I appear to other people.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just gonna watch you backflip real quick.
Which one are you showing?
The second one.
Oh, I was gonna say, man, like the first one's embarrassing, but
that's sick, man. I want to backflip now.
Yeah,
130.
Wait, that's one thing I've
never seen anyone that heavy do a backflip.
Man, I'll never be able to lose that. I'll always be able to flip something that's just locked in.
It's like Gigi Mufu. He does backflips and stuff. He wouldn't be that big though.
He wouldn't be as big as you.
I know Gigi. Yeah, probably is. I've seen him once in the Arnold Classic once before.
He's big now. He got a lot bigger recently.
Oh, has he? I haven't seen him recently, but like, you know, I really liked him. Then he started falling off the rails, starting doing real bad stuff. Then I'm like, you know, the amount of people that are going to try that and injure themselves. So, but I think I've met him at the Arnold's, and unless he was like, I don't know.
You actually met him?
Yeah, I've met him. I've met a lot of these like, Instagram dudes, like, you know, 20 2017, 18, 19. No, not 19. 2017 and 18 Arnold Classics. They had a hell of a lot of people rock up. Like a lot of like Tony Doherty is a great ambassador for Australian bodybuilding.
And Doherty.
Yeah, he's a great guy for it. Yeah. And I've met pretty much.
He's got good energy, that guy. Just
very good energy.
Speaking on videos.
He's great for the community, great for just bodybuilding worldwide, man. He's a worldwide name. Everyone knows Tony. Yeah. He's like, they call him the godfather of bodybuilding. And
bodybuilding in Australia or is it?
No, everywhere. Man, he emceed the Arnold Classics in America, the the actual big one. Yeah, he's it's because the dude respects the hell. Like a lot of athletes don't, like American athletes or wherever they come from, they don't want to compete in the Arnold Classic in Australia because, you know, they hate the flight here. It's such a big flight for them.
Yeah.
Like a 3-hour flight in America for them is like long as. Like when I went to America. Like everyone, when I was saying that I went from East Coast to West Coast, they were all freaking out that I was going to fly 5.5 hours. I'm like, that's so long. I'm like, what? Like, I can sit in the car for 5 hours, no issues. Like, I don't really care.
Waiting to be in the next
they don't really like long travel. They're a bit impatient. But Tony Doherty does such a great job of accommodating these athletes and like making sure they're comfortable. They're looked after all the time. So it makes the journey here. And plus, like, you know, we live in a really good country, man. Like, us fans, like, they always talk about how, you know, they have to, they're great fans, but like, I know they genuinely think Australian fans are amazing because we're just so appreciative. We don't have that. I think the difference between them and us is we appreciate, whereas like American fans, they can get a bit greedy, expect things from them, like, oh, why did you do this and that, and we're here with us, like, just so glad that you're here. Like, we appreciate that you're here. Like, I get a thrill about when I'll listen to, like, some top bodybuilder or anyone, guys, not just bodybuilding or fitness in general, talk about a city in Australia that's awesome. Like, I'd listen.
Australia exists.
Yeah, like, exactly. Like, I love listening to Joe Rogan podcast, and when he talks about a few cities in Australia, it's like, I love it. And when he interviews, like, I love listening to, like, immerse myself in the nature sort of stuff. So one of my favourite guys to listen to is Adam Green something, I can't remember it, but he's quite a common guest on Joe Rogan, and he's an Australian dude, and that whole episode where he's just talking about Aussie culture is just awesome because I'm just like, man, I'm proud of this country. So, but yeah, what was I on about? I'm just lost track.
We're on many tangents.
Yeah, shit, but...
Yeah. No, that's fine. What were we talking about before that?
No. You were talking about bodybuilding and how that's sort of like the traits you develop.
Yeah,
through bodybuilding. But I want to ask you about, like, you know, you were talking about like how, you know, what it's like to be the biggest guy in the gym and people make assumptions about you.
Yeah. So for instance, I never think that, like, body's dysmorphia, but I still don't think that. It's never really my goal either.
Yeah, well, you just may not be a goal, but you are.
I don't know. I've never I look at everyone in this gym as like, and this is so cliche. It's like I could just be looking like I'm saying this to look good on camera, but I'm not. I really don't. Like, if I wanted to be a big dude, I'd have stringers and. But I'm a quiet dude, bro. Like I'm always up for a conversation with the members here.
Yeah.
But man, I actually have a lot of gym anxiety. That's something that people wouldn't really put with me. Like, they wouldn't really think I would have that with my size. But like, I'll come in, particularly, you know, it was such a big thing when I met you the first time and you took me around before I signed up. And I don't know, I guess like that was a big step, and then the next step was coming to train. Like, I wanted to train that day.
Yeah. And
you're like, oh, you're going to come back to train? But I was like, oh no, I need to go home and sort of like relax. Because like, I get mad gym anxiety. I just feel like, I don't know I can't pinpoint what sort of feelings I get.
Is it because you think everyone's looking at you? Or just there's a lot going on, sort of thing?
I don't know. I sometimes feel like I really don't know. Like, am I doing the right thing? I don't know. It's weird. It's literally just a weird voice that happens in my head that I'm like, you know. So, for example, one of the things that I wanted to counteract that, I'm like, you know, I still sometimes get the feeling I walk in this gym and like, I'm like, oh shit, like, am I doing the right thing? Am I walking in someone's video? I don't know why. But then I'll put my bag down and then I wanted to work on my calves, build my calves up. So that's the first thing I do now, as I work on my calves. And then just having 5 minutes to collect my thoughts while I'm in here and start to like focus on what my workout's going to be and stuff like that.
Just get the zone.
Yeah, and then there's no anxiety. Yeah. But the gym doesn't bring the anxiety on it. It's just myself. I've had that feeling everywhere I've gone. And particularly because like, if I really dig deep to I wouldn't say it's the main cause, but dude, like I was always, you know, bullied when I was younger. That's one of the, like, on top of like wrestling, like idols and stuff like that got me into training. It was the fact that I wanted to stand apart from other people, because I was always that skinny dude, and I had pretty bad pigeon feet. I'd walk like that, and you know, I kind of was just like, man, this sucks. And then there's this bully, I wouldn't call him, he's a pretty good dude, but he punched me. He's like, hey, Gibbo, and punched me. Everyone in Mackay calls me Gibbo. No one calls me Cal here. So when someone says Gibbo, I'm like, what? But he punched me in the arm. I'm like, yeah, what's up? Well, I'm like thinking, fuck, that hurt. And so my school-based apprenticeship was 2 weeks at work and 2 weeks at school. And then how it fell was in grade 11 we had this leadership camp, and to sort of help decide who's going to be the school captains and stuff for our grade 12 year. And we went away, but I was away from all of my class and everything for like 8 weeks, because my last 2 weeks of the semester at school was spent at work. We'd do 2 weeks at work, 2 weeks at school. So I did my last 2 weeks at work, then it was school holidays. And then how it fell was the first 2 weeks of term back was the 2 weeks at work again. So I was away for 6 weeks, and then there was like a real short week with a public holiday, and then they gave us like a couple of days off over on 1 week, an early week, to sort of get ready to go away for a week camp or something. And so I was away for like probably 7 weeks, something like that. And then in that time is when I really that's when I met Carl, and that's when I put on like beginners gains, where it was like 8, 9. It was like 8. Yeah, it was about that. Yeah, and people were like, what, man? And like just the feeling. It sounds like, you know, I don't know how to explain it. It wasn't like I was still doing it for myself because I knew I loved it. I fucking loved it, man. And I did it for myself, but it felt good to not be looked at as like the pigeon toe dude. That sounds so lame, but it felt good to not look at some flaws about my body, but the fact that like, man, you look good, and like, holy shit, what did you do? Like all those comments. Finally, someone like looked at me as if people were looking at me as if like I got something to give, rather than why you walk like that? Like, you're 16, bro. Like, you know the Google. Like Google pigeon toe. Don't keep making me feel like shit about it. Yeah.
Just like give it something good to feel about yourself.
Yeah. So I guess even that to this day, like I'll walk in and I'm like, man, like it's a brain thing. Like I still have to concentrate on how I walk, and some days when I'm tired, or some days when I'm just not thinking, like, still my feet will swing in, and no one ever says anything anymore. Like,
but like kids rip each other apart. But like, when you're in
but like that hurt. Like
everyone helps each other.
Exactly. But those things followed me right till this day. But I don't know. It's just. It's not a negative. It's never stopped me from coming to the gym. It's never stopped me from going to any gym. But, you know, the way it's just the little things I'm trying to work on to get over it was like, because of that anxiety I feel, sometimes I do look a little bit pissed off, angry, intimidating to come up to approach.
People think you got, like, you might have a little bit of resting bitch face, but it's like...
Yeah, I know I do.
Doesn't mean you're fucking angry.
Yeah, I know I have that, and I'm kind of like...
A lot of people have it, though. Especially when you're training and you've got that intense look about you. It's like... People think that, you know, people are staring at them, or it's like... People just in an intense state because they're like training hard.
I don't help myself to it too, because I'm like... My girlfriend's really good in all personality. Like no, like she's loves thinking about personality, like all those 16 personality types and whatever. And I can't really remember what she said I was, but basically, you won't find me ever, and this is something no one will know. This is the first time I've said this. No one. I've never in 5 years of gym.
Yeah.
I've never listened to a normal song ever. I've always listened to. So actually, the only time I've ever listened to a normal song is lead ups to my PBs.
Yeah.
Oh, but it's not like a hardcore song, dude. I'll listen to Nelly Furtado, that bird song, whatever. Like, fly. I don't know. You know, real like old school, like
uplifting.
Yeah, like calm as is like, how are you lifting this weight? Like, how are you going to lift 300 kilos? And you're listening to that.
Yeah.
And part of it is I like to be so control over my nervous system.
Yeah.
So when I'm about to lift, like if I'm calm, I'm like sort of, I can really connect with my body.
Yeah.
And, you know, people I've had, you know, Maddie says to me like, were you nervous about like lifting that? I'm like, nah, because like, every lift I do, I'm confident in. I'll never do something that I'm going to feel like I'm not sure. It's like definitely the weight I've lifted, I've never done it before, but I'm confident with my training to lead up.
So you channel more positive emotions.
Yeah, but that's the only time I'll listen to songs, but literally every other time I'll only listen, and I can't remember what she calls it, but I get very emotionally connected to things that like movies and clips and
you're very empathetic.
Yeah, so like for example, I'm a mad basketball fan. My whole family are basketballers, and I'm 6'3" and I'm the shortest in my family.
Oh yeah,
that's crazy to say that. Yeah, but my whole family are basketballers, and I guess like because of that, even watching like intense scenes that has happened on basketball, I'll just skip it to that. And then the emotion, and I try to like feel what the players will feel. And for some reason, those feelings I get, they connect well with my training.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
So I'm like, I use it's a weird like, it's a rush. It's like a body high. I almost feel like, and that's just one scenario. Like, but like I've got. It's almost embarrassing, and I'll show it just so I'm not bullshitting everyone. But like, you know, YouTube Premium is without that I'll be lost. But literally all my things is, you know, clips from Transformers, Lord of the Rings. You know, there's an odd things.
Do you like Enya?
There's like yes.
From Lord of the Rings?
Yes.
I can get around a bit Enya.
But yeah, it's literally just like clips from movies, Iron Man, things like that.
Yeah.
You know. Dude, this is the first time I've said this. This is what I was telling you about before. I'm excited to sort of.
Watch the video or just listen to the music?
I've watched it for sure, and I'll listen to the clip.
Yeah.
Because it helps. I can retain that emotion.
Do you have that as a playlist?
Pardon?
Do you have that as a playlist?
Sort of.
We'll get that up on the TV. That's good stuff.
Yeah,
it's all different stuff though.
Playlist, bro.
This is how weird it is. I've got. Have you heard of the Ketchup song? It sounds so lame, and people are going to be like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I remember that.
But that song there represented a really good time. I saw my sister at the estate. Like, have you heard of the estate? It's like some dance competition. Yeah. My sister danced to that song, and I remember the proud feeling I have of her. Yeah. I've got that song on phone because sometimes I'm in the mood where I want to have that feeling when I'm connected of training, and I'll listen to that song, and the feeling and the remembrance of that song in only makes me sort of lock in, and I can really just train hard. And I really do train hard from listening to all sorts of music, man.
That's cool. Yeah, people get like that memory from different senses. Like, you can smell something and it like takes you back. It's cool how you've like figured it out and you've got it right there, and it's like you can take yourself back to that time.
Yeah, like I can't remember the last time. Like, I'll listen when I'm driving home and stuff. I'll listen to I listen to normal music. But I don't have a genre. Like when people are like, what type of music? I'm like, dude, I'm literally seriously. I listen to anything. But I listen to like normal songs driving home, at work, whatever. But with training, some reason I have a better connection and I can train hard because I put myself. Because some of them things are like hero moments. Because like I get a kick out of like helping other people, but I've never really put myself in a position to sort of, I guess, you know, get my PT,
Sounds like it's calling you.
Yeah, so it's just got to like commit, because the one dark thing I've always worried about, but I guess there's plenty of people to sort of get, advice from, is I've always been afraid that if I do it as a job, will I lose my love for it?
I reckon it makes you more passionate about it, because then you're helping other people with it. So
well, I'm starting to start to know that's what's going to happen. Yeah. For a long time there, I was sort of like, no, I think
that's an excuse. A lot of people, like, they fail at it. They say that, I lost my love for it when I taught it. It's like, I don't know, I believe you can choose it more. You can choose a meeting if you want to.
Yeah.
Around, I'm sick of this now. It's like, you just had long days at work. Doesn't mean you hate training now. You know?
Exactly, yeah. So that's one of the things that I wanted to, that kept me away from being my PT, was like, I love the disconnection from the training. Like, I could, I've always been in love with training. I've always like never not wanted to train. And if I do not want to train, there's probably a reason. But, that's why I sort of kept away from PTing, because I'm just like, sometimes at my work, I just always sort of looked back at when I've had a shit day at my job. The first thing I want to do is get out of there. Whereas like, if I have I don't know what a shit day as a PT is like, to be honest, but if I've had a shit day at a PT and I've got
a moany client.
Hey?
You got a moany client.
Yeah, well, actually, what is a shit day as a PT?
I guess just if you have clients you don't want to train and they're just projecting their shit onto you, like a therapist, but not wanting to fix the problem.
Yeah, see.
But like, I got to a point where I cut loose those clients that were toxic.
Oh, cool.
But you can get to a point where you can be like, see ya.
I also feel like if someone asks you something and you don't know the answer, or like you can't really, you're getting pain but you don't know how to fix it, I'm like
that's the one thing, like I'll never step on anyone's toes, and that's something that's my own I don't say everyone should do it, because like whatever, but like I think the PTs you've got here are fucking great. Like, the information that Tom and Jazz put out on their social media it's just like, man, like, that's crazy. Like, you've spent many hours of your own time learning that, and you're giving out. That's pretty cool, but it's not, and they don't have to. That's the thing. And that's why I've always been like, Tom and Jazz and a few other trainers you've got here. I'm not sure, can't remember the names, but they've done their time to get to where they are. I don't want to like sort of step on their toes and tell some client or some member here some advice that, if they're a client of them and they've come up to me for advice and I'm telling them wrong, it's like, well, I'm not trying to.
Yeah, I feel like you've got to let go of being perfect to actually become good. Like, if you can't be so caught up in, is this the absolute perfect way to do it, or is there going to be something that contradicts what I say? Because you probably could find something that contradicts.
Yeah.
Like, how even people believe the best way to deadlift 5 years ago is definitely different.
It's so different now. It's like 5 years ago with deadlifting, the deadlift has evolved incredibly much since I first started deadlifting. When I first started deadlifting, no one really emphasized like, so social media back when I started training, and I'm from the 90s, I started training when I was 2011 or something. But back then, like, bro, everyone's idol was Ziz back then.
Ziz? Yeah.
But
R.I.P.
there wasn't the information still out there that there is now. But I remember back then the main guys I would do, the YouTubers, would be Athlean X. Have you heard of him?
Yeah.
6-pack shortcuts dude.
Oh yeah.
And like I don't know, the odd random trainer that you'd find on YouTube when you're trying to like Steve Cook, yeah. And like the three you go on bodybuilding.com and there's Chris Gretchen or something. They would have all their 12-week muscle building program things that you'd learn off. Bro, they were my that's where I'd go for advice. But this day it's so easy, but at the same time it's so easy to fuck up.
Well, there's so much information.
There's so much.
It's easy to get the wrong stuff.
Exactly, and the one thing I'm kind of starting to like get shit off about is like the PTs that kind of like don't know what they're talking about, but they pretend that they do. And
the thing is, you have to sort of be like that.
It's the people with the loudest voices get heard. It's not.
I get that. Yeah, that's my thing. That's why I was like.
And there are so many people calling out people like that. Like, a lot of the time we'll just get away with it.
Yeah, because I mean, the industry's like, there's a lot of money in it, and that's what I was always talking about. I was like, man, if I'm a PT, I'm not gonna like I'd kind of almost want to have an interview set up. And interview set up before I take a client on. Like, this is just me, like, just thought on how I'd run my own sort of business would be, I don't want to take on anyone. Like, every client of mine is a representation of my work.
Well, you're working with them too.
Yeah.
Like, they're not working for you. Like, you're working with them. So,
yeah.
like, they have to want to work with you as
well. And I don't really want, as much as, like, I'm all there to talk to people and stuff, like, if I'm PTing, I kind of want to, like, we'll talk about all your issues, but that hour, we're gonna go to work. Because then, the way I think about it, is many issues I've come in my head, I've trained hard, and then you get a bit more clarity, and those issues aren't as great, and then you don't find yourself for that whole hour whinging about it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, like, let's talk about it. But let's fucking smash it 25 minutes first or whatever.
Because...
And then let's see...
Exactly.
You'll probably be looking at your problems a little bit differently when you've gotten out of
That's
your head.
My mentality about it.
You're getting into the moment, focusing on your body, what you're doing.
Yep.
And just...
Endorphins, man.
Yeah, like, it's hard to, have a fucking awesome session where you trained hard and then be like, fuck this person.
Yeah, exactly.
People are like, oh, they probably, they might be thinking this because of that. Like,
Yep.
You're not...
Yeah, man.
You have visible clarity and you take things less personally, you're happier.
Yeah, that
just gets you connected to the moment, really.
Exactly,
and you see things objectively.
Yeah, and I know, like, that would... If people can look at it the way I would look at it, as if, like, I'm not dismissing what you might be going through in life.
Yeah.
Or whatever has happened that day. I want to learn about it. I want to, like, see if I can help. But for now, I think let's get this training over. Or train hard as hell, go well, and see what we can do. And then at the end of it, you've got endorphins. You've got, those create positive things. Some even myself.
You've been listening to some Transformers, uplifting music.
Transformers, Iron Man, bro.
You've done a set of you're fucking good to go now.
Yeah, exactly. So
let's see what you have. What's your problem?
Yeah, and
oh, okay. Well, this happened. Oh, it's not a big deal.
Man, the amount of times I've found myself do that, I'm like, I've come in and I've just like, I could find myself whinging, and then I'm just like, I'll just get this training over and done with, and then I'll train hard or do something, and dude, at the end of it, it doesn't even really matter. Like, whatever I had, I was like, that wasn't really much of an issue, and I was able to, like, save myself expressing negative emotions for 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And then...
You're just projecting? You're just like... like just projecting shit.
Yeah. These are all the things I've learnt in the past year, dude. I was one hell of a negative person. I've done a lot of self-growth in the last year. Like, I've always been sort of hard worker, whatever, but... Man, I'd find myself being negative too much all the time. And even without myself knowing, until someone pulled it up to me, and I was like, my girlfriend actually, she was like, man, like, your negative vibes are sort of impacting me. I'm like, oh shit, this was like ages ago.
Yeah.
And she just, it was very confronting. And at the time, like, I could have gone, in denial. Like, like, that you look at it as negative, but like, it actually, like, if you see it from my point of view, it isn't. It's just like there's a real issue here.
Yeah, well, it's like, just the story that you're looking at the problem.
And I started to just simple things. I just became, when she started naming off the things I was like whinging about, like a lot of it was like, I'd be driving and like, from Mackay, there's no traffic. Coming here, I'm like, bro, how does anyone think this is living the dream when you like fucking drive? You're in traffic for an hour to go somewhere 10 minutes away in Mackay, I was like, how's this living the dream? It's sitting in traffic.
Yeah.
And I'd get so like pissed off about that when I first came here. Yeah. But then after a while, I'm just like, you know what? Who cares? Like, it doesn't really matter.
That reminds me of someone, like, I won't say who it is, but just like in the car with them, it's like everything is just like the worst thing that's ever happened to them. It's like someone like pulls in front of them. He's like, oh man, this guy's gonna fuck. Like it just ruins his day. And then he's just so pissed off and angry. And even when you finish the drive, you get out of the car and he's still just like fuming about this like the drive. And it's like, man, it doesn't need to be like
man,
this.
you know
it's
what's
like,
funny?
You got to the same speed as everyone else.
Yeah, you know what's funny? He's like, I was like that. So I can like relate, but it wasn't until like, I was like, got told saying, and it was like confronting. I was like, man, you're right. Like, I'm negative as hell. And, you know, I fixed that shit immediately. And it's like, you can fix it immediately. And just little things like what I was telling you, 8:30, 9 o'clock, shit, I'm not on Instagram or Facebook or whatever. Like, I turn that off.
Yeah.
I don't come on until about smoko time, 9:30 in the next day. Because when I'm off it, I like to live in the moment. Like at the Origin last night, I was just like, my dad was just like shaking his head because like, you know, he's still boomer, he's still old school, and he's like, yeah, there was these two girls there, and they're in front of us, sitting in front of us. Dude, they took 45 minutes or an hour just taking selfies the whole game, and then there was a moment in the game where we thought Queensland scored. And everyone cheered, stopped cheering, and then she just got up and cheered because she was like, oh, what? And because she was trying to like record herself cheering for Instagram. And I'm like, man, this is not genuine, eh?
That's
and
so
then,
funny.
And even that, like, me and Maddie are always like, man, we need to get more photos together. We barely take photos. And it's like, every time we're out, we don't think about photos. And I'm not trying to like dismiss people too. Like, take photos, you need to. Like, memories are great. But like, I just live too much in the moment. Like, we'll go. I've done so many great things this last year, but then I'm like, shit, I didn't take any photos. And you know, last night we were sitting kind of higher up, and you'd look down the stands, all you saw is people recording the game. I'm like, man, like, I honestly think like people need to.
It's like such a fucking problem. No one's fucking actually present with what they're doing.
I'm like a videographer, and I would never record like a live performance or like a game or something. You're never gonna watch that video again. You just watch it while you're there.
Yeah.
And then it's gone. You're not gonna watch that.
It's never gonna be the same. You may as well watch a live concert that's professionally filmed on YouTube. Like, you're not doing it because you want to watch it back. You're doing it for like that social proof.
Yeah,
like,
exactly. Social proof. Perfect. I love that.
Like,
I love that word because that's where I was like, I used to be like that. I used to go to like, when I first moved to Brisbane, going to Suncorp was like a big deal. I was like, thank you. Like in Mackay, like Suncorp was like the place to be because, you know, there's no big stadiums there. And so when I first moved here and started going to a few games of anything, Suncorp, I was like, this is awesome. And I'd find myself, you know, recording like crap. And I never found myself watching the videos, ever.
Yeah.
Like, who cares?
Yeah, it's awesome you're not looking at it.
Yeah, you're never gonna, because like, the actual game that's taking place is like not the thing. It's part of it, but it's not like the full reason you're there. It's like the atmosphere. And the
atmosphere.
It's like,
that's what. Yeah.
So just watching it back on the screen, it's like, oh cool, there's a video of a football game I was at once.
I mean, I fully get like stories are a great thing. Like, as in little clips or just seeing like, how your night's going. Like I like that. There's nothing wrong with that. But it's the ones who are like submerged, like they're just on their phones the whole time. You're like.
Yeah,
missing out a lot, man.
Good, because like share it with your mates. And, like, they want to see what you're doing and stuff. So yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and I just think that.
Don't spend the whole time on your phone.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and I'm just like, I don't know. I sort of got. I just see social media one of the greatest things, but also one of the worst things. And I honestly think it's very 50-50 right now, on which side it's more is. If you use it correctly. You can get rich quick, you can get successful quick, but I feel
it's work though. Like I wouldn't say quick. I feel like maybe initially when Instagram. Like,
when I say quick, like the timeline, like for example, Logan Paul and Floyd Mayweather.
Yeah, I agree with you on that.
10 years ago, I don't think Mayweather would ever want to, like, if he was at the end of his career then, I don't think he would fight some random YouTuber.
Yeah, but that's like the top 1%, you know. like we put a lot of time into it. It's like
I reckon the reason though,
it can be.
I think it ties into like what you were saying before with the PT thing is like, if you want to get rich quick, you got to be cutthroat. Like you can, and you got to be cutthroat, and you got to not care about what people think about you.
Yeah.
You just got to like step on everyone, like say as much as you can, as loud as you can, get your voice out there, and you can get there. But like, what's the quality of that?
Yeah.
Like,
See,
like,
I just.
What's it gonna take to get there?
Yeah, that's the, and you know, I know I've said this to you, it's like if I was to become a PT, I would need some guidance and help with marketing myself, because, man, I just feel like if I don't know, I couldn't step on people's toes, man.
Yeah.
I don't know, I feel too much. Yeah, but I couldn't.
I feel like it's going that way now, where people are just sick of that shit. Like,
I hope it is.
People wanna listen to people that they can relate to. They're just like a real person. You're not like. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like it's going more that way. Like.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Like I want to.
Everything. A lot of things are going that way. Like people are sick of, for instance, big box gyms. Like,
Yeah.
Are they like wildly successful?
Well, I'm really after. Man, I've spoken to a lot of people about this gym, and dude, like the feedback I get from it, like even there's a lot of people that unfortunately live too far from here, like Ipswich way.
Yeah.
But I know like they're genuine people. They would be out of there. Like we're talking World Gym Ipswich.
Yeah.
They would come to a gym like this for sure.
Yeah.
Because I think those big gyms they're fucking shit to train at, man. They really are. And I'm kind of wish I took this step a lot sooner to come here, because that's what social media has done. They look at the big gyms and
yeah, well that's why you're here as well, is because of social media.
Exactly.
Because you kept seeing us. Like, how many times do you reckon you had to see us on social media before you came here?
I first known about you because you randomly followed me on Instagram one day, and then it started becoming chats with Aiden, and then pretty much
Aiden from the supplement shop.
Yeah, and then chat. He would always talk about how great this place was. Then obviously I started Instagramming, Facebooking, and then one of my friends from PLC. Have you heard of PLC gyms? She said she was thinking about coming here.
Yeah.
But then she ultimately decided her style of fitness was more like, body fit F45 stuff.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, okay. And then you had a promotion up when I signed up. And that was like, oh, fuck it, I'm going to sign up. Like, I'm going to at least come and have a look at it.
Started this year?
Yeah, it was started this year. I can't remember what it was. It was like, I messaged your Facebook page, and it was like, I can't remember what it was, but it was the advertisement that got me. But I already knew about the gym because on top of that, I followed Life Portraits, the Instagram.
Yeah.
And they do a ton of
They do a lot of
stuff. Yeah. And like, the one thing people relate to this gym is the plants, obviously. They're like, oh, is that the gym with all the plants? I'm like, yeah.
Hack.
Yeah. And, but yeah, I think, that's why I think you just got to keep believing in yourself, because I personally don't think you'll lose any members, or I think you'll keep gaining members from when Stafford, World Gym Stafford.
Yeah. They'll, we'll be persistent, and eventually people will probably won't get sick of that.
Well, I just know, like,
And they'll be
people are, like I think you were saying just before, people are getting sick of that sort of, they just want to do their own thing. They don't want to like follow the crowd, because that's what World Gym's about. Don't get me wrong, I've met a lot of awesome people. Like Tim was from there. Bloody, so many great people I've met through World Gym. But it's almost like I don't know, it feeds into living a life that you're not really living. It really is, man.
inauthentic.
Oh, bro. Yeah, 100%.
The word you're looking for?
Maybe, yeah. Just basically like, I don't know, if all the PTs there, I sort of know, they all have to have a rich Mercedes, and then they carry their laptops everywhere and set up in front of the whole person at the gym, pretending like they're writing programs, but they're not. And there's a lot of shit like that, man. And like everyone's like into like the newest fashion wear, making sure like, and then on top of that, it's all like, you've seen that dumb PT, you know the guy with all the bands doing all the deadlifts and
band specialist.
Yeah, that dude.
I think I've seen him on Instagram.
If 16-year-old me, when I thought six-pack shortcuts was the biggest dude ever, I would look at this guy. If he's the first dude I stumbled on Instagram, I'd be in the gym wrapping myself up in bed thinking that's how you get big. Like, shit, like, come on. Like, I think there has to be some sort of regulation about this. But, like, that culture...
I don't know, maybe he's right. Have we tried it?
For someone...
Only one way to know, man.
For someone that says he's a powerlifter and he's gained, like, 20 kilos on his deadlift in 4 years, and his deadlift's, like, not even 200 kilos, I don't think he knows what he's talking about. But
I'm just talking shit. I don't know.
Oh man, like, he's the worst.
That's sort of funny.
But like,
that's what I was saying before, man, about like just being ruthless. Like, he's out there saying like this is the best way to do it, and like making his voice heard, and like that's why people are seeing it. Yeah,
see, I'm very. I could bore you guys all day with how I sort of set up my training. Like, it's not normal, and everyone I've spoken to, they're like, why the fuck would you do that? Well, I don't know, it works, but I don't know, but I'm not gonna...
What's your structure?
Very instinctive based, so I kind of like to, I don't really have I have a structure where it's like, I'd like to train these muscles on this day of the week, and then I also want to like work on the muscles that I require. So for example, this has taken many years to get to this point, but you know, some muscles require more frequency, some muscles require more rest between I train them.
Yeah.
So for example, I find when I tore my pecs up, that hitting them twice a week, one session sort of heavy and really go after it, and then the second session at least 72 hours apart is a bit more like stretch, sort of flying work.
Have you used Renaissance stuff for that? Renaissance periodization? PD?
No, maybe.
Because like they use a lot of studies on like on how much frequency per week.
Yeah.
Each body part.
Yeah.
Have you seen that?
I think I have, but like, because that's my thing is like, I'm not saying that's wrong, but like,
it's going to differ.
Is that going to differ from other like person to person?
Yeah,
like, how many people have they studied to like find it?
Of course. Like, there's going to be like factors, like how long have you been training, how long have you been frequently training that body part, how many years have you been training? Like, that's going to differ. But this is probably just like a good little guide that you can go.
It's like a starting point, basically.
Yeah.
Figure out where you are.
Because, like for example, like when I was telling you about how I got real negative. One of my negative traits I used to do was call out dumb PTs, and not so much like personal ones I've met, but like I'd go on Instagram, and a saving grace word a lot of PTs like to use is evidence-based or science-based. So I just like to ask them like, all right, so can you supply me the source of where this evidence was found, or somewhere I can sort of read in further on how they can't supply it, bro, because it's like, you know, they want to add that there because it sort of validates whatever shit they're saying.
Yeah, it's just like a keyword.
Yeah, and it's like, well then, it's like the boy that cried wolf. It's like the people that actually have done the study, the science is there, the evidence is there.
Like, so many people of these studies, they're just like, they've been manipulated in a way that it's like going to get that result.
Yeah.
You know, like you could find a study to support almost anything.
Mm-hmm.
But like, how many other factors are there?
Man, how many times have you seen like on Instagram or something? I saw one like the other day. If you eat just rice the rest of your life, you'll live well over 100. Like,
yeah, if you eat red meat, it's gonna be toxic. It's like, what about all these other people? The people in the studies that were eating more meat were also eating a lot of other shit as well. Like a lot of processed shit. These other things. Like how How are you defining this one thing unless you've got like thousands of people doing a strict elimination diet and then you're measuring all these things? Like you just simply can't do it.
Yep, exactly.
And it's like, how do you say this is the best? Like no one knows the absolute best way of doing anything.
I love that you said that. Thank fuck, because holy shit, like I think again, great PTs here, but I think they're an example of like they've got that sort of backing where they've done their research, all that sort of stuff. And if you were to be can you show me more like evidence, whatever, they can supply it. But they also know that we don't really fucking know, man.
You know,
it's like, just the best at this point in time. It's like
100%, like
to our knowledge.
And if to be really great, and like this is the great ratio, if you have to be willing at any moment, if you find better evidence, to just throw that out, or are you just going to keep saying the same thing even though you know it's wrong?
Yeah, exactly.
Or are you going to be like constantly, okay, like how I taught a deadlift was completely different to how I taught it now.
Exactly.
And at that time, that was the best depending on what I knew, and I'd always say, this is what I've learned.
The only problem I have with that, but is I love that. I love when people have to, then exactly what you said. But how many times do you see on Instagram? And I don't know, this is all during my negative phase, where I was just like, really digging deep into everyone, because I'm just like, people need the real, like, how to get, like, whatever. But I would see someone, I saw a PT literally just describe how to do some glute movement the week before, and then a week later, he must have, in that week, saw something that looked kind of cool on Instagram or wherever he researched it, and then now this is the way he worded it. He was sort of reteaching. He posted up that video on how to do that same glute movement but a different way.
Hip thrust.
I can't remember what it was. It was a glute movement that you would do sort of on like the way you would sort of set yourself up on the adductor machine sort of thing.
Yeah.
And I was just looking at it. I'm like, dude, like last week you just sort of explaining this way, and then this week you sort of deleted that video, and now you've posted this video explaining as if you've had that, yeah. And I also feel, and this, I want your opinions on this, is do you feel before you supply this information out that you sort of need to be confident, like say for a movement, for training, do you need to perform that yourself so you know how it works before you spread that information? Or are you confident enough to see something that you like that would work and blah blah blah, and then you can supply that information to social media? And
I feel like I'm very like not science based, but I've just been around a lot of people who are, and I've just learnt from them, and then I take bits and pieces of what has worked for me, and people in front of me in real time instead of like, oh, this study here goes completely against what I've actually been saying. I was like, well, I actually have had 10 people who have got a solid result through doing this, and I keep it as simple as possible.
Yep.
Like most of my coaching is, I don't know whether I should say this or not. Well, it's just like how I like to do things. It's just like very, very simple.
I love that.
Here, stick to these set of exercises for about 8 weeks. Do it consistently for at least 8 weeks. And sometimes if it's going really well, we'll do it for longer.
Yep.
All right, slowing down now. Now it's time to do something new. Here's the sets and reps. All right, you're going to write this into your journal. At the start of every session, we're going to look back what you hit the previous week.
Yep.
You may not be feeling good, you might be tired. Your CNS may not be firing on all cylinders, so we don't have to increase the weight. But we can add a rep to at least one set. Or we can add a set on, increase our total volume. If we just look at what we did last week and increase it in some way, which could be, you might do an extra set on your bicep curls because you're fucking tired. That's going to add up over a year.
Exactly.
And not every session is going to be perfect. But you can always tweak and improve things. And it doesn't have to be like, fucking, I read this study, so now everything I said is completely different. And it's so much more. Sorry to cut you off.
No, you're right,
it's just my own experience. And I'm like very, very intuitive with how I coach people.
I am very the same, bro, and I love that. Like my training right now is mixed with science-based things that I've learned by myself, things that I've learned from others. Everything, and I've all trialed it myself. and I've done things that someone swore by. I've sworn this will work.
Yeah.
And I didn't do shit. And I make sure I also, you know, I cover all bases. So I make sure I try it long enough to like.
To say it works or it doesn't work.
For example, you know, remember when you overhauled my straight leg deadlift?
Yeah.
And, you know, a few weeks there, I couldn't really see, I didn't really know what I was doing.
Yeah.
And now I'm really confident with it. I
help?
feel that, yeah. But, like, you know, if someone didn't approach, if it was someone else and you weren't, and they've just gone in it and gone, why do people do this? This isn't for me.
Yeah.
Like, I could have easily said that. This straight leg don't do shit. But, you know,
give it a proper go. You know?
I wanted to, like, fully learn it, make sure I'm doing it right. And then I'm now seeing growth and progress through it. So, but yeah, my training is very mix of everything. I do scientific stuff. I do, like, one of my favorite bicep exercises is sort of science-based. It's called sacroplasmic training. Basically, Have you heard of that?
No. What is it?
Basically, you might see me on the cables here. You get the bars, and then I do about 5-6 reps.
Oh, right. Is that like a cross body?
Anywhere really, but then I lean forward, and you do it really safe, and you just put a gentle stretch on the bicep, and basically that stretch sort of opens up the cells, and it releases this oxygen plasma sort of thing.
So the cable on either side.
The cable's either side, and you're just curling. I'll do 5 reps, and then after 5 reps, I'll lean forward.
Yeah.
And put a light stretch on your bicep and hold that for like 10 to 15 seconds. It's excruciating.
Mm-hmm.
And then that stretch opens up the oxygen cells and it releases this thing called, I can't remember the scientific word, but it's plasma sort of thing. And it just basically helps put more oxygen. I sound like an idiot right now because I don't have like all the right words. Yeah, because I learned this movement like 4 years ago. And because of that, I do that, I try to get 3 stretches, but man, by the end of it, your biceps are pumped as. Yeah. And I add that because, like, you know, it's work. My biceps always feel full as, and I found some great growth, and that's one of my weaker points. I've never really trained biceps until like this year.
Yeah, true.
So yeah, I never train arms ever. I just think they're the worst.
Yeah.
I think lifting But now that I'm wanting to build my arms slightly, like I'm starting to add everything that I've learned over the years. Have you heard of SST training? This famous coach, Patrick Tour, Tour, he coaches a few Aussie bodybuilders now, Aaron Pilates, Logan Robson. But he is famous for this training method called SST. Again, I can't remember the name, but in short, it is making your muscle fatigue over every type of like intensity level. So for example, it's a three set movement all into one. So you go up and you do say 10 reps where you go a 3-to-1 ratio, 3 seconds up, 1 second down. And after 10 reps, there's no break. You then go 1 second up, 3 seconds down. And then immediately after those 10 reps, you do 10 normal ones. Yeah. And the idea of that is you're breaking down muscle fatigue, so you're getting all the reps, so you're completely exhausting the muscle. You're tearing down the muscle fibers on the twitches that are pushing up, and then you're also tearing the fibers more coming on the negative. Yeah. It's just designed basically to exhaust everything about that muscle in one entire set. Mm-hmm. And generally, you don't do it for like 4 sets, like an exercise. You do that. It's like you'd add it in to say maybe where you would add a drop set in or something. You do like 1 set. Not every exercise, 1 or 2.
So your last set maybe.
Yeah, maybe. I usually do that one on the first exercise because I really think it's really important for me to get a pump within the first 3 sets of my exercise. Yeah. Of my first exercise I choose for that muscle, because I feel like I really do, like, you know, people say this, the pump's like important, man. Like, once I got the pump, the connection's there, I can feel what I'm doing, and then the training's just better. I can just really fully connect into everything. So I will keep going onto that. I'll make sure my max concentration is obviously throughout the whole session, but those first 3 sets I'm really targeting getting that full pump, particularly like, I don't know, have you torn muscles before?
No.
Oh, okay, so...
Yeah, I haven't really had anything.
Yeah.
I've had 2 knee operations, but nothing like...
So when I've torn my tricep, that was... Yeah, I tore my tricep, hamstring, and my pecs just keep busting up. And the pecs, I've struggled since my first ever tear to get a pump in there. Like
your body's trying to protect it.
It's trying to protect it, yeah, and it's kind of like the hardest thing is trying to relearn to use that muscle. So, like Tom noticed it straight away when I was training. He's like, you know,
are you training with him now?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So,
awesome. How's it going?
Oh, I have to talk to him if he's in today or tomorrow, and then we get that program.
Tomorrow.
Yeah, because after I did my functional games, I said just give me a week to sort of wind down from that, and then because after a week, even with any coach, any sort of thing, I like to have a week off, and just do whatever I want in the gym, and then allows me to sort of reset.
Yeah, you were just talking about your pec tears. It's got to be pretty scary to like start really trying to like load them up again after you've torn it.
Yeah, man, like it's a very long process, dude. Like my first severe tear was in 2016. I'll show you. I fully tore my pec in half.
I don't know if I want to see.
No, it's not
in half.
In half, man. You'll see it, but like it's not, the tendon stayed 100% intact. It was the muscle belly just tore.
Has that affected your aesthetics much?
Hell yeah, it sort of fucked with my mental health.
Yeah.
Because 2016 was my first year that I was like, right, I'm going to compete. And I was just about 2 weeks left of my off season. Where's my favorite? There it is. Yeah, I was like 2 weeks left of my off season. There it is.
We don't need masks tonight, do we?
See that?
Yeah, shit.
Yeah.
How old are you there?
19. Yeah. 19, first
Young,
pec tear. Yeah. So when I tore that, I pretty much stayed away from bench. Because that's what I tore it on.
Yeah.
And then after that, I kind of just... It was the fact... I don't know, the pec tears, I think... When I tore my tricep and when I tore my hamstring, I think... I don't know, I guess walking... with my hamstring rehab, just walking, just doing normal life things, you sort of, the confidence is there to like load it again. But with pecs, like I don't, even though you're using them, but like in these particular movements, I was like, it took me about a year. It didn't, not as that long as probably what people think, but it took about a year to like get confidence enough to like do bench press lightly, and then it took about. That pretty much boosted my 6 months, and then everything was good then, and then I tore my right side. Yeah. And then I just battled with that since, but that right side wasn't bad. It was just like a tiny little rip. This one was like a bit of deformity. So I spent the last 3 years building my upper pec because it atrophied and it bunched up down here. So for bodybuilding purposes, I had to build up the top pec. So when I'm hitting poses, the line that went through there just looks like a striation. And fortunately enough, the line lines up with an actual striation on my right side. So when I'm tensing and flexing my pecs, just looks like...
Yeah, I see you're doing
shredded.
Fucking heavy incline.
Yeah, incline is what I've gotten strong at. But
140 for like... How many reps can you do 140?
Nowadays, not many, like 5 or 6, but... I could easily if we had 100 kilo dumbbells, I could rep them.
Really?
Yeah, I reckon so. With elbow sleeves. Like,
that doesn't count. It doesn't count elbow sleeves for it.
Yeah, no, exactly.
I'm just joking. Elbow sleeves do not that much.
Well, that was one of my...
Dude, we need to get 100 kilo dumbbells now. Let's put fucking...
Well, I wouldn't be able to do it straight away. I could give me like 3 weeks of like...
3 weeks?
Yeah, it wouldn't take me long. Like even when you posted, I had no idea. Like the hack squat was like the record here was like 6 plates or something. I don't know what it was, but I was like, damn, like I could get 8 plates in 4 weeks. I can progress quite quickly in strength, but that's my bad point. I progress too quickly in some ways.
Yeah,
and
you leave yourself vulnerable.
Yeah.
Injury.
I leave myself vulnerable to the little muscles that matter, like all the little tiny connecting muscles that people forget about, and that's my down point. Is just that, because strength's always been there. I can get strong as hell at one thing, and that's sort of how I design my workout. Is I look at a certain. So for example, my first 6 weeks when I signed up here, I wanted to get super strong on your leg press.
How many plates did you get onto that?
I don't know how many plates, but I got up to 420 kilos. But I don't.
So
that's in weight wise. I don't know how much it is without
it's
weight.
Pretty heavy on its own, that one.
Yeah.
Like
240.
that's 12 plates.
That's with sleeve sleeves.
12 plates, pretty heavy.
So after that, my next exercise I wanted to get strong at was. Nothing really. It was getting a rep on a certain rep number on normal squats, and then after that, it's hack squats. I wanted to get a certain, because then...
The hack squat's heavy as well.
I'm glad we put that downstairs if you're going for a PB on it.
I feel like you didn't go that heavy when it was up there for that reason.
No, I did. I was the one that brought up the extra plates up there.
Yeah, true.
And but...
Because the week after we brought the stuff down was when you did like 6.5 plates.
Yeah,
And I was like, fuck, he must have just been, like, maybe he was too nervous having it up there. But,
well, what day?
When he used to see you, or you didn't put it up?
Yeah, Friday. Friday when I was doing legs, I was like I decided to wear my heeled squat shoes.
Yeah.
I wore them on the freaking hack squat, and I shouldn't have done it. Because I was in tune with my body that day, and I was like, these fellas are going to have a 7-plate hack squat to post up. But then I think I should have taken them off, but by then, I already spent, that's just one max
Why
set.
did you need to take them off?
For some reason, I was getting a lot of pain through my shins.
Because just too much flexion then?
Yeah, and I was coming down, and I go pretty deep, and I was getting a lot of pain. Yeah.
You can change the angle of the foot pad anyway, so you don't need it.
Dude, I only noticed that on Friday. I was sitting down at the bench just in front of it where it was, and I was like, oh shit, you can change to that.
Yeah,
so I need to I'm going to look at my other videos that I've done and seeing if they've been at different heights, because now I'm going to have to write that down in my book, because I don't carry a book in the gym, but I don't carry a book, but I record everything down on my phone, and then I write it when I get home. But I know after that one, it's just whatever Tom wants me to get stronger. But I think we're gonna be working on, bro, little shit, because that's what I said. I need you to fix me on that, because once I'm in tune with that, I just feel like I'm gonna be unstoppable. It sounds so arrogant, but
dude, you just know.
I don't know, man, put me in a competition, an actual competition, and this is some shit that happens in my brain that I can just zone in and lock in, and I feed off it. I love it, man. It's like my time. And so I just know I'm not, and when I said this to Tom, I was like, man, I'm not coming in here to when I say I'll beat everyone, I'm not saying I don't know. I'm not arrogant enough to go no one can beat me,
Yeah.
But I know there's numbers. It's more or less my previous coach really restricted the fuck out of me, and he would say your max you'll ever get is 850 total. Well, mate, I totaled 845 on my own. So you're saying I'll never be able to gain 10 more kilos, 5 more kilos?
That's so limiting.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, isn't that a reflection of his own coaching as well?
Yeah, so...
Shouldn't he be saying you should be getting fucking more than that?
I know, so...
I think you haven't been getting help.
It's just because, it's just... I don't understand. I kind of think it was... Because he was also competing too.
And in the same weight class?
Yes.
Oh, well, there you go.
He's competing against you.
You'll never be stronger than me. Sabotage the enemy.
But yeah, everyone...
Get close to them.
The one thing I've always wanted to make sure every coach to find me is what I think I can achieve is a lot more what I've been told in the past. So that's why I've always struggled to have a good coach. So
what does Tom say with your...
Tom understands me. So he's he understands that I don't want to just... Well, the first thing is he knows that my strength doesn't respond well to a fuckload of reps, man. No, I'll end up just exhausting myself. With my body weight and my height, you know, doing 5x5 on deadlifts can really fucking... Bro, I'll struggle to like fully recover. Say we deadlift on a Monday and I do 5x5 at a decent enough weight. I'll start to like really... I won't recover enough. Like, I'll feel good, but mentally or like my nervous system might not be fully recovered before next Monday.
Yeah.
And that's why I said to him, like, and I found this out from obviously my old training partner, Conrad. We always did low volume, but also that comp I bombed out on, like that day that I only, you know, had the food mix up and all that went wrong. I only got 3 out of 9 lifts that day.
Yeah, damn.
Yeah, and I was so pissed off about, I was embarrassed, you know, everything about that. And then I was like, dude, the next comp was a deadlift comp, just to finish the year off.
Yeah,
and because, so I kind of like, I said to myself, I'm going to like train myself to open up on my 3rd attempt of my deadlift that I failed. Mm-hmm. So like opened up on 320.
Nice.
And it came up like feathers, man. But like it just showed that, and I stuck to my training. I deleted Instagram for a month. It was a 5-week turnaround from that comp to the deadlift comp, and that's when I realized, like, you know, low volume really, I respond well. Like when I say low, we don't really do more than 3 sets, and we don't really do more than like of that exercise. I hammer the hell out of myself in accessories for some reason, and I spoke that to Tom, and he agreed. Like he didn't think he didn't give me the reaction that he's never heard of that before.
Yeah.
And he even backed it up with saying
1 or 2 top sets, like 3.
3 working sets usually, but the reps aren't like any more than 5.
Yeah. So between 2 and...
But the weight's usually high. It's not like we're not doing a lightweight for 10 reps or something.
Yeah.
We're doing quite a heavy weight, but the sets aren't like more than 3 and the reps aren't that high. So, but then I'll really hammer myself in accessories. And he's like, you know the big Thor dude that's got the deadlift record? He deadlifts once every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
He deadlifted once every 2 weeks in the lead up of that 501 kilo deadlift.
Yeah.
Really?
When you're moving that kind of weight, like, that takes a long time to recover from that.
It does, and even the training, how we, you know, that's another story, but like even how, it was just like, I was trying to tell him, like, that's where I feel like the individual side of coaching needs to sort of be addressed, that everyone's different. Like, and that's where he was very particular on his way only. Because we'd go in as a group, like 12 of us, and train together, and everyone had the same amount of reps and sets, just weight was a bit different. And even the setup of it, man, we'd be deadlifting.
It's just like, there's so many factors to take into account.
Because he's so confident, and I'm not sure.
People can get reps, just like get progression just from training hard and believing in it, and sticking to their food and eating enough. Like, but it's, I don't know, I feel like there's too many factors. Like,
well, yeah, I just think like at the time I knew he was a hard ass, bro. Like if you asked him any advice, he would say to you, just fucking trust me. Like he was really, I like his mentality because I love toughness. I love militant shit, but at the same time he was neglecting me, and that's how I knew if COVID never hit, I would have torn my bicep. Because at the end he kept calling me a little bitch when I said to him that my bicep tendon was going to tear because I had severe pain in there when I was doing deadlifts, and it got to the point where I'd wear like a compression sleeve, but underneath that, to hide it from him, I'd strap the fuck out of my elbow.
That's toxic that you can tell your coach that.
But it was
that bitch.
Oh man, the first time I don't want to spend time talking about how shit he is, but like, his methods work. He's got some great lifters, but they never worked with me, and he wasn't really open to sort of individualizing
just
things.
Just because you have good lifters doesn't mean you're like.
Yeah.
You could have. If people just believed that you were doing things correctly, you could attract some really great lifters.
Yeah, but like even, I knew at the end, like I already told everyone, I said after this comp, like I'm committed to the end, but I'm going to get out of this. This is just hindering me because, We were about 4 weeks out when the shutdown happened. But, you know, even the setup, man, he even had us deadlifting on Monday, squatting on Wednesday. So you're trying to say, I was doing 3x3, 300, like, my weight at the time was 3x3 at 300. You're telling me I'm going to recover. Oh, and that's just only 3 down, and after that he would make us do deficit deadlift. There was at least an hour's worth of deadlifting. And you're going to tell me I'm going to recover in less than fucking 48 hours to now squat 270, 280 for a few reps and sets. Like, doing that week in, week out, I was just slowly breaking down. And, you know, I got a physical job being a boilermaker, all that shit, and then that's why I was getting injuries, and you know, there was one point I couldn't make it to his place, so I went and did my bench session at another gym, and it wasn't a good session, and I just reported my how my session went in our WhatsApp group chat, and he just fucking deleted me. He just like kicked me out of the chat. I was like, what? So kind of that was my bad. That's why I was so hesitant on picking the right coach. But
yeah, you've had that's a pretty negative experience. So like,
yeah, but
that's.
You don't realise how bad it is until you get out and give it a few months, and then you look back.
Oh, you make excuses to that person.
Yeah.
Oh, they had my best interest at heart.
Yeah.
It's okay. Like, why not?
But man, Strength Century, I won't lie, when I first signed up, I did go home and I was a bit, like, it was my first sort of big gym move because, like I was saying to you, I kind of like from Anytime Fitness to World Gym, I kind of followed where Tim went. So then, I kind of knew, and I was so immersed in bodybuilding, so I kind of knew that's where I got to be.
Yeah.
And then I still want to, those goals haven't really changed. Like I said, I want to compete, powerlifting, but it was more like, with bodybuilding, not sure. But definitely, when I finally knew it was time to get out of World Gym, I was nervous because, you know, one thing I was kind of nervous about was the 24 hours. Like, I was like, every gym I've been had the 24 hours.
Yeah.
But I've never had a negative ever. Like, I thought I was going to have issues with that. Like, oh shit, like, I can only train now and this. But then I look back at when I would train, and it's like all during staffed hours that any gym would be still open with. And the Sunday gives me a day to like actually rest, because some days I get too critical of myself and said I didn't train on one of the days during the week. Yeah. So I find myself coming in on a day I shouldn't.
On a Sunday afternoon or something.
Yeah. Yeah. But this is I even think, like, I've seen people coming in, and this is a great thing about this gym and in the environment, is people come in this gym and they, even if they know it's a rest day, come in here just to be in the nature of the plants and the vibe and roll out, do some active recovery work. And, you know, I don't know any other place that sort of, you could not feel like you can, but like the feel of wanting to be here and doing that when you could just do it at home.
Yeah.
People want to come here, and I love that. And like, I was nervous when I first signed up. I was like, have I made the right decision, sort of thing? You know, should I still keep doing that 45-minute drive? Because I moved to McDowell. Yeah. But then, within that it was my first session, I was like, man, I fucking love this place. Just the shit that I miss, man. Like when I was explaining to you before, the value, like, if you're not really familiar with some of the stuff this gym has to offer, then you don't really know the fucking value of this place. Like what I was saying about the calibrated plates, the deadlift bars, that's so fucking, that's awesome. I love the steel plates. I love the fact that you guys listen to the members. You get us shit that we want. You're not complacent, so you're not sort of going, fuck, you know. You're constantly thinking of new ideas and ways to improve. And, you know, other gyms don't have that. Other gyms don't have that. Because, like, World Gym, the one that I went to, it was like, shit was breaking. During winter, some of the things needed WD-40 because they were just, like, the cables were just grinding. And, they would take a week to do that. there would be things in here that might need just maintenance. Bam, you've done it within a few hours. Like on that day, that's been reported. Not like, all right, we'll get to it, and it's like been 2 weeks.
And sometimes a lot longer. Some gyms something will be out of action for like months. And it's like, just get someone in. I know. Replace this one little thing.
Everyone's about like.
And everything's fresh. Yeah, I get a little bit of kick out of it too because like I'm not super handy, but since Ryan's come on board, it's just like everything is always working.
Yeah.
There's never like just some like he cannot sit for more than like a couple of days with like something not working. Like, I've got a Bunnings, I'll get the piece or I'll fucking get someone in. Like, if I can't do it, there'll be someone coming in like the next day to fix the treadmill or whatever it may be.
I love that because...
Me too.
Yeah. And
thanks, Ryan.
Yeah, thanks. Man, like, seriously, coming from a place, and this is a real story, coming from a place, a gym, that wouldn't listen to the fucking members, and then thought in a quiet gym, like an area that doesn't draw a crowd, like as in a city crowd, or like not in a prime zone where like even just non-members would go, to think that you're going to spend money on, instead of repairing the gym, but add a barber shop at reception. Like,
right.
Bro, that's what, World Gym Brisbane, luckily the owners got kicked out, but before I quit, there was like a few, like they had a machine that the cables kept snapping, man. The adductor, they had this adductor machine to change how wide to have the knee pads or whatever.
Yeah.
Was just some fucking screw they found in the back room. Shit like that desperately needed replacing. You kind of had to scour the gym to find like the pins at some of the pin loaded stations, because someone would take them and put them somewhere else, and like those clips that you'd attach your gym accessories to. And we needed like a whole new overhaul of that. And then I asked him, I came in on Saturday saying, oh yeah, are you gonna guys do this? And he's like, oh, we're gonna see this here, we're gonna put a barber shop here. And I'm like, you're gonna put a fucking barber shop when there's so much shit out there that needs replacing? And so then coming to a gym that actually is literally always looking for ways to improve, things to do, like always just the ideas that you guys have said. Well, it's always members first here. It's always the community. It's never greed. It's never like what can benefit like just the owner sort of thing. It's always the community, and that's what I love about it. I love the fact that no one's better than anyone. The person next to you will say the right, like, you know, will help you out same as anyone. There's no like, well, for me instance, there's no judgment, man. There's no like someone like, I don't know, it's hard to explain, but in the right words, I'm pathetic with that, but
no one's on a pedestal, like,
no one
if you're the strongest guy in the gym, or if you do bodybuilding, you're not on a pedestal above the person who it's their first week in the gym.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I love about it. I love the fact there's so many of those things that I never thought about, and then when I come into this gym there, I was like, damn, like, it's like when I was talking about, you know, quiet towns, and they come to a busier sort of city, and you can see how behind they can be with adjusting to the speed of it. When I come here, I didn't realize how busy, how many things that you guys do that not only creates a way better culture, and I think
it's the small things that you do.
Dude, 100%. The small things always matter, and there's so much value this gym has. Like,
thanks, bro.
Man, so much things, and it's just like what I was saying, like all the plates and the frickin' bars and all those things that, unless you're sort of, you know, you're not going to find that. You're not going to find calibrated plates at a world gym.
Yeah, people don't understand the value of all those things unless they're like actively going out of the way to learn about it. Like, if people just started training here, they wouldn't appreciate the knurling on the power bar that you bench with. You know, that grip isn't going to slip.
Yeah.
You know, just that feel that you get.
Yeah.
Like, you can't measure a lot of those things.
Yeah.
But we value them a lot.
Yep. Yeah, I think it's great what you guys got going here, and that's why I signed up for a year for my first contract.
Stuck here.
Yeah, shit, yeah. I'm glad I'm stuck here. And it's so convenient. I'm only 10 minutes up the road, so.
Very nice.
I love it.
You were travelling 45 minutes before?
Hmm?
You were travelling 45 minutes before? 45
minutes. And, like, to think, and it's funny that I used to think, like, when I first moved there, I was like, I was adjusting my lifestyle to now cater for the added extra training time. And then, you know what, the biggest thing when I come in here, I go hard, like, you know, I time my rest breaks, I do all that sort of shit. And the one thing that I noticed, when I first started coming here, I felt like I wasn't training hard enough because my session would literally be over in an hour.
Yeah.
But then I realized, I'm like, shit, it's because, like, when I had to set up, get ready to go to the gym when I was a member of World Gym, I'd have to put away nearly 3 hours of my day. Like 40 minutes both ways plus the training.
Yeah.
And here it's like 10 minutes. I'm home like within an hour and a half, and I started going, am I training hard enough? I'm being slack. I'm not.
Yeah.
It's just, I just love that.
Yeah.
It's great.
Awesome, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, that's probably going to have to wrap us up. Thanks heaps for coming in.
All right, bro.
Really lovely
we appreciate
words
it.
at the end there.
Yeah.
It's been really good to hear about your mindset, and you're like
it's unique.
Obviously an incredibly hard worker as well.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people need to get value in your perspective. Like just, you know, new people who realise that, you know, like you said, sometimes you're afraid of how you come across just because you're bigger. People will make assumptions, but just people can actually, if they listen to it, be able to see that you might.
Yeah, I want to let those people know if they've only got any questions, anything. Bro, I'm here. Any spot, anything. I might look intimidating, but I'm really not. And
You're like a big, strong teddy bear.
Yeah, I'm trying to wipe that intimidating look off, but I'm really here to help everyone.
Yeah,
at least.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah,
Cool. Thanks,
so much.
Thanks, bro.
No worries.
Appreciate it.
Cool.